So, welcome back, Dad. Good to see you.
Thank
I'm
you,
just going to adjust
Jackie.
my camera a little bit. I don't know. I guess that's as good as it gets. Is that any better?
It's good.
That's blurry. Better.
Maybe we should put these glasses on.
I think this is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can do this without my glasses. Yeah, I can do. Okay.
Okay.
So the last session, Dad, we ended with you before you left Jamaica to go to England.
Yeah.
And we said that in this session we would pick up where we left off. You were just about to head off to England to pursue your adventures as a young man.
Yes.
So let me ask you again, what had you decide to move from Jamaica to England?
Well, I was not satisfied with my future being in the government of Jamaica as a clerical person. It has no future for me as far as I was concerned. I've always wanted to do something technical. And I unfortunately was not able to afford to go to a university, usually in the United States, mainly because we did not have an engineering faculty at the University of the West Indies. And I could not afford to go to Howard University or to a Canadian university, Acadia. I had applied to both universities and preferred to go to Canada mainly because I had a friend who was there. I got a response from Canada saying that if I could not afford to pay the full year's tuition, it would not be easy because I would be competing with local people for employment during the summer.
Okay,
In the
Dad, I just want to
meantime,
talk a little bit about the setup here because you tend to lean forward and you cut off your mouth on the video. So I'm not sure how to set you up where you feel like you're close enough to the microphone or just posture that's
maybe you
comfortable.
can. I just want to make sure you can hear me, and I think you can hear me. Can you hear me
I mean, the
okay?
sound is a little bit, okay, I'm just going to do a test. Say test 1 2 3 1 2 3 in that position and then lean forward and say it again.
Test 1 2 3 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3 1 2 3.
It is a little bit better when you're closer, but where you are right now, you can see your whole face. You tend to lean forward and put your mouth under where your mouth gets cut off. But that's good where you are.
Okay, here is about all right. Is that okay?
Okay. Yes, but can you maintain that posture? Is that comfortable or do you feel
Yeah,
uncomfortable?
I can. I might
Okay.
move my head around, but I can maintain it.
Okay, if it's not comfortable, let me know. Because if it's not comfortable, you're naturally going to move into something more comfortable. So I
No,
want you
it's
to feel
okay,
comfortable.
Jackie. I'm so gratified that we can do this, that I'm prepared to hold the position for as long as it's necessary.
Yeah, but you won't.
I'm
As
not
you
very
start talking,
uncomfortable. I'm not really uncomfortable at this stage.
okay, but we need you to be as comfortable as possible because even if you intend to hold that position, as you get into a conversation, you'll naturally move to a more comfortable
Yeah, I tend to
position.
move.
So we want you to be in a naturally comfortable position.
And I want you to be able to hear me okay. And you say you're hearing me all right now.
Yes, even when you're back, it's the
I'm
the
okay this way,
microphone is
Jackie. I'm
always
okay.
fine. The
I'm
sound is
good.
always okay, so it doesn't matter. Just don't cut off your mouth.
I just finished a long call with Johnny on Skype.
Okay.
And okay, so
Okay, so you were talking about
I was
you
about to say that because I couldn't afford to go to university, I was pretty much saying I wouldn't be able to do anything until I could save enough money. When one of my schoolmates visited our office, which is what we did in Jamaica, once people that you went to school with, once they went abroad, when they came home, they would go visiting, schoolmates around. And this chap, his name was Ken Ramsey, visited my office. There are a few of us from my high school working there. And he said, "Why don't you go to the Air Force? Why don't you join the Air Force? Because you'll be able to get trained in a technical skill and as well as go to school." So I wrote to the Air Force, and within a week or a couple of weeks, I had an envelope with a whole bunch of brochures telling me what I could do and all the rest of it. And I decided there and then to go to England. So,
okay. And what was the
yeah,
process for you getting to England? Where did you go? Who did you stay with? Did you sign up for the did you sign up for the Air Force before going to England or after
no,
you got to
no,
England?
no. I'd only contacted them
Okay.
from Jamaica, and they had written to me.
And what did they say?
They sent me brochures,
Oh, they
and I
sent you
read through the
brochures.
brochures and decided that I'd go. They didn't
Okay.
know when I was coming, if I would come, or anything.
Did
I
you save
mean,
up money to move?
I had a little saving, but not much. I was a bit of a saver, but I got some help from my sister Dora, and I had a few. I think I mentioned that I had a job at the time, a second job, working on the horse racing track,
Oh,
and
okay.
as the good Lord would help it, I had a good win the day before I left. Yes, I
You bet
won. I
money at
can
the
remember it was
racetrack.
over $30, which was a lot at the time.
$30?
£30.
30 pounds.
Yes, pounds.
Yeah,
It
because
was
you were
pounds.
only making about £4 a week at the time.
Exactly, £4 10.
Yeah,
So,
so
and
there were many
I
weeks
would
where
make,
things weren't
I would,
expensive.
holidays, would make £3 10 for the one day at the racetrack. But that was only, oh, maybe once a month and on holidays. Anyway, I was able
So,
to,
so when you went to England, you flew.
I flew to England, yes.
How did you buy your
Your
ticket?
mother had gone to England a good, maybe a month or so before that.
Okay, so you had been corresponding with Mum while she was in England?
Oh, maybe, I'm pretty sure I got a letter because we weren't making phone calls in those days because it was extraordinarily expensive. But she mentions that she was surprised when I showed up. She wasn't sure whether I would come or not. But
You
anyway,
guys were in a relationship at the time?
yes. But wasn't solid, anything like that. We were in a relationship, and I had suggested we come to us that she should go to England and leave her past behind her.
Leave
So
her
anyway,
past behind her. Why did she need to leave her
yes.
past behind her?
Well, you know that she was married.
Yes.
Okay, so she was leaving that behind.
Oh, okay.
She still had a husband someplace there. They weren't living together or anything, except that it was a good chance to just break that there. Unfortunately, she didn't have any children, and that was it.
And they were in the process of a divorce, weren't they?
Well, I'm not. Just a minute. Sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
continuing.
So my last question was, um, Mom was in the process of a divorce at that time, wasn't she?
Well, she was. I don't know how what the stage was, but I mean, she had decided to leave the marriage.
Okay. So they were separated.
Yes. The fact of the
Okay.
matter is that she was living with her brother. He was living at her brother, Uncle Algon. And as far as I know, he had left.
Okay.
Anyway,
So
so,
so you had some money, you
yes,
had some savings, you decided to go to England because you were interested in the Air Force. You bought yourself a plane ticket um, from your savings, I assume,
savings, yes, and with the assistance of my sister Dawn.
and with help from Aunt Dar. And then how did you set up like arrangements? Like who was going to meet you at the airport? Who were you going to stay with? How did you set all of that up?
No, I didn't, it wasn't set up with anybody. I got on the flight. I arrived in London. I had a phone number and I made a call.
So nobody knew you were arriving?
No,
Nobody knew you were arriving?
no. If anybody knew I was coming to England, it would have been Aunt Joni. She might have known.
She might have known, but you don't remember.
I don't remember, but I got in touch once I arrived in London. I got a taxi,
Yes?
and at the time we were carrying British passports, so there was no problem. I got a
Okay.
taxi to where your mom was with Aunt Una and Uncle Reggie.
So so you decide that you're going to get yourself a plane ticket and just show up at their place and not
Yes.
and they don't know you're coming.
Well, I'm pretty sure that didn't know when. The plan was that I was going to be coming, but didn't know exactly when.
Oh,
And it
okay.
wasn't the good old telephone days. And if I had written a letter, maybe I got there before the letter. I don't know. All I know is that I was surprised when your mother said she didn't know whether I was coming or not. She was surprised when I showed up. But I
Gotcha.
got there and I had enough money to get a taxi.
Yeah.
Got a taxi to the address that I had where she was staying with Uncle Reggie and Aunt Una.
Yeah.
I got there and of course she was surprised that I was there, but I was there.
And Aunt Una and Uncle Reggie were prepared to have you stay with them?
Yeah, yeah, they were renting at the time, and
Okay. And so they knew it was a possibility. I'm just trying to wrap my head around like
they must have known.
so like
It's a long time
I'm
to
living with
remember all
one
the
of my
details, but
sisters.
they maybe knew.
They
Yeah,
maybe
but
knew because
they,
I'm like I can imagine I'm living with Diane and Les. I'm living with them. And then all of a sudden my boyfriend shows up and is like, here I am, gonna stay.
don't forget that they knew me, you know.
Yes.
They knew me, and they must have known that there was a possibility. I'm sure she would have talked to them about it. But anyway, I showed up And immediately I called my aunt in Liverpool and I booked a train up to Liverpool. So I was going to be in Liverpool. I
Oh,
wasn't
okay. So you
planning.
weren't moving in with them. You were
No,
just
I wasn't moving in with them. No, I was just stopping overnight mainly.
Oh,
And
okay. That's different. I thought you I thought you showed up to move in with them
no,
or
no,
something.
no,
Okay.
no, 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 no. I never lived with them
Oh,
at that
okay.
time.
Oh, that
Well,
that's that clears that up. Because I
yeah,
was
no.
asking, where did you decide you were going to stay when you got to England? And you
I
just
was
said you didn't
living
have anywhere to
on
stay and you
Junie,
just took a taxi to them.
on
You didn't
Junie,
mention
on
anything
Junie in
about Aunt
Liverpool,
Joni.
on Junie in
Okay.
Liverpool.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. That makes
So
sense. Okay.
I I went to Liverpool and established myself there. I got there, I think, on a Wednesday or a Thursday from London. And Friday morning, I'll never forget it. I was in the RAF office in Liverpool, and I guess I don't know if I called or whatever, but anyway, I sat the aptitude test, and I was informed that I had been selected to be trained as an electrical technician in aircraft.
And that was,
And
had you indicated that that was an area of interest for you?
yes, that it was technical I wanted, and I had a little. You remember that I had a little knowledge of electrical because I had done that apprenticeship.
Yes.
So I was able to show some aptitude for it based on the questions that they asked on the test.
Okay, good. Good.
So I guess it was within a week or so I got a letter, and it said I'd been accepted. I got a railway warrant and
You got a what?
a railway warrant.
A Ray
That was
warrant?
warrant. Yes, that was a free trip. I was now going to go for training, and they sent me a railway warrant. In other words, I was going to travel by rail to basic training.
Can you spell that?
Warrant, Warrant.
Yes. No, I mean the railway, oh, railway warrant.
Railway, yes.
Railway. I thought you were saying Ray.
No, no, a
Sorry.
railway.
Railway. Okay.
Railway warrant.
Sorry,
And
it's my speakers.
yeah, and took the train, and I was basic training, go through the usual thing. I don't know if you've ever seen it on any movies or anything like that, but the same thing. They take your civilian clothes, you get, you know, Air Force clothes and all the rest of it. You
Yes.
go through a process as
How
short as
long
my
was your
hair
basic training? How long was your basic training period?
was 7 weeks.
7 weeks. Because
Seven
I remember
weeks.
Angela and Diane went through
Huh?
basic training at Camp Borden, if you remember that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I remember going up there with them. Well, basic training, and that was to get the military induction, pretty much marching and using a rifle and shooting, that sort of thing.
So they trained you in all of that, eh? You had to get
Oh
basic
yeah,
training in how to use a rifle and
how
how
to
to
yeah, we
shine
had
your
to shoot
boots.
all the boots, making beds, all the rest of all that, and you'd meet the people. I have a picture of the group I was with.
Okay, well, I guess in the video we'll insert the photograph here.
You can insert photographs. Yes, I have a picture of the group and me, the only black guy in the center of the group, and then I can
Oh
point
boy,
point
that
to the
was
guys
life.
who became friendly. I have a picture that you have seen. during training. We had to go out on what they call a reliability and initiative course, just on our own initiative. I don't know what happened to most of those guys, but that picture is there. I'd like that inserted as well. And that was 7 weeks of marching and doing all of that. The other things we did, shooting on the range. I've lost you. Hello, Jackie.
Hi. Let me see
No
if I can
picture.
get back. Am I back?
Okay, yes, you're back now.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but that was 7 weeks of that kind of training. And I remember while I was there was a public holiday, and it was the equivalent to Thanksgiving. Wasn't that Veterans Day, they call it in the States.
Remembrance Day?
Remembrance Day.
Remembrance Day.
And we were parading through the town. The town was Bruggen.
Was what?
Bruggen, Bruggen. No, sorry. Bridge North.
Bridge?
Bridge North.
Bridge North.
Yes, Bridge North.
Bridge North. Okay.
Yes, Bridge North. In Bridge North, and we had to march through on Remembrance Day,
Yes.
and I was a part of that parade.
Okay. And people were pointing at the black guy.
I guess they would have been. That happened a few times.
They
Anyway,
wouldn't have been pointing at you?
eh?
You said they would not have been pointing at you?
There would have been, and I had other occasions in different places where there weren't too many black people around. I remember being at a place when I was going to school, and the girls would say, "Ah," and point to me and say, "Harry Belafonte." Of
Harry
course,
Belafonte.
I felt pretty good
You
about that.
wish you were as good
I
looking as
wish,
Harry
wish.
Belafonte.
I never forgot that. But
Oh
that
boy, if
was
I were you, I would
that
have
was
taken hold of Harry
after
Belafonte for sure.
I was in North Wales at the time, going to college.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
funny.
and I
Probably
I had here.
studied
Anyway,
Harry Belafonte.
yeah, that will come later. That was but anyway, that training was 7 weeks, and during that time, they gave us an opportunity. I guess the third or fourth week, we had an opportunity to go anywhere we'd like for the weekend. And I went to London to see your mom.
Oh, nice.
There was a coach going down. I went in uniform.
Ah,
Oh yeah, I went in
you went to
uniform.
impress her.
It was then winter coming on, so I had my raincoat on, and I showed up at the door, and oh my gosh, well, nobody knew I was coming. I showed up at the door, and she broke out into a laugh to say, "Here's my fancy guy," and that was a bit of a come down because I was, always here. I am in English in uniform, cap,
Oh,
raincoat.
I thought she was going to appreciate the uniform. You're saying she did not like it.
No, she liked it, but she thought it was funny. It was a joke to
Oh,
see the transition that I made from civilian to uniform.
okay.
So I was there. I spent the day. It was a Sunday. I went there on a Sunday morning, and I had to catch the bus back. I came on a coach, and all the people from that area would be on that coach. I went back that evening.
Yes.
That was that trip.
What did you eat that day? Do you remember?
Don't remember. Don't remember. Maybe I had rice and peas or whatever. I don't remember. But I went back. I think she came back with me to where I caught the bus. I don't remember that.
She came back with you on that trip?
No, no, just take me to to
Oh,
where
she
I
took you
caught the
to the bus
bus.
station or to
To
the
the
bus stop.
bus, yes. So, and that was that. I had another weekend after that, and I would go to Liverpool
Okay.
to see to see. No, I don't think I went to Liverpool.
You didn't go to see Aunt Joni in Liverpool?
I don't remember. There might have been a coach going to Liverpool. I might have gone to Liverpool on the same basis as a day release.
Okay.
I've gone in the morning and come back in the evening on the bus.
And this is all during your 7 weeks of basic training.
During the 7 weeks, yes. And then Aunt Joni and Uncle Bob came to my passing out parade.
Okay, so this is when you graduate from basic training?
Yes, I'm glad it's the final parade, and they're in the stands, and all the parents are
Yes.
there. And it's the good old days, no pictures or anything like that. Would have had pictures. But when I go and I look at that now, you see the kind of crowd. If you go to Air Force passing out parade on YouTube, you'll get an idea what it was like.
Right, right.
So I think I got a week off after basic training before going to technical training.
Okay.
And so I went back to Liverpool and then took the train to Cardington. And
To
Cardington
where?
was where Cardington,
Carrington?
Cardington.
Cardington.
Yes, that was where I was going to be. I was going to be. Am I getting it right?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
No, no, I got it wrong, Jackie. I got it
Pardon me?
wrong. I got it wrong. I went to Cardington first
Before what?
before Bridgenorth.
Before Bridgenorth. Okay.
Cardington was receiving,
Okay.
where they received you, and you got haircut if you needed one. I didn't need one, but I got a haircut anyway.
So that's all before the basic trainings, the
Yes,
basic
before
training
basic
7 weeks.
training. That's right. My
Okay, so you go
God.
to Cardington, you
Cardington
enlist.
was where I got the railway warrant to Cardington. Wasn't to Bridgenorth, was to Cardington.
So you enlisted in Liverpool and
Yes.
your train ticket was to
Took
Cardington,
was to Cardington for receiving. You spent
receiving
a
for your basic training.
Yes, you spent a week there and got your uniform there and things like that.
And then you moved
And
to the
they
base.
took your civilian clothes and mailed it back home.
Oh, wow.
So from then on, there's no civilian clothes.
Wow. And then from there you
Uh,
went to the base for your
Yes,
basic
you
training.
went to Bridgenorth.
Bridgenorth. And Bridgenorth was a base?
Bridgenorth was for training. Yes, was
Was
the
it on
basic
base?
training.
And was the basic
Farmington was
training on?
receiving. Bridgenorth was training, was parading and shooting and things like that. Was at Bridgenorth.
So was it a military base?
Oh yes, it was an Air Force training base, a training
That's what I
station.
kept saying. So it was on base. It wasn't like
Yeah,
was Cardington a military base as well or no?
yes, it was a receiving center.
A receiving center. Okay, Cardington
And as
was
a
a
matter of
receiving
fact,
center, but Bridgenorth
yeah,
was a military base.
it was. I think we were there maybe for a week or something like that. I made a good friend in Liverpool, but unfortunately, I never saw him after we left there because they discovered that he had a police record or something like that, and he had to stay back to have that cleared. But he was from Liverpool, and he was my friend there.
Who are you talking about?
There's a chap that became a close friend when I was at Cardington.
Oh, okay.
I was there, I would say, for a week or something like that.
And did that guy also go to Bridge North to the base there?
He came after me
Okay.
because he was delayed. He didn't travel up with me.
Okay.
But here we are now on a train again from Cardington to Bridge North.
This is for the start of your basic training or in the
For the
middle of your
start of
basic
my
training?
basic training. I jumped that there.
Okay,
I
but you
was
said that guy
reversing
did
that.
not travel with you to Bridge North.
Huh?
Did that guy travel with you to Bridge North or he?
No, no, he came later on. I saw him. He ended up in a later batch.
So when you said here we are on a train to Bridge North, that guy was not with you.
No, that would have been with a group of guys that I got to know.
Okay. That's
They're mostly from Liverpool, chaps from Liverpool I got to know, and we were in the same compartment on the train.
oh, so if any of the Beatles had decided to go into the military,
Yeah, well,
yeah, you could have been
they,
you
they,
could you
they,
could have been on the train with friends of the Beatles, right?
it could have been
Wasn't
on
it
the
around
train
that
with
time?
John, yeah,
You, like we're talking the early 60s, right?
yeah. So that is it, Jack. I remember traveling on the train and not understanding the Liverpool accent too much.
Okay.
When the guy spoke to me, I forgot that I was now in England, and a guy said to me something or the other, and I didn't understand what he said, so I turned to another guy and said, "Wait a second."
And did
I
they understand you?
no, but and then I corrected myself right away. So what did he say? But just impulse reaction. Oh. So I turned to the guy next to me and said, "Wait a second." And then I turned back. I
Oh,
said,
so
"Oh, what did
cool.
he say?" So anyway, travel on the train. I never forget that, Jackie. It was drizzling, raining all the way. It
Mm,
was down overcast and everything. We got to Bridgenorth, and there was a Salvation Army van there.
okay.
I never forget that. That's why I had a liking for the Salvation Army, and I've contributed to them over the years until recently. Yes, they were serving hot tea and goodies
And this was at Bridge North.
at Bridgenorth, yes. And there was
Because
a
you also
van.
talk about the Salvation Army giving hot chocolate when you landed in Canada.
Yeah, it was a mobile van, just a van. And there's a woman there, and as we come in, we line up, and you go up and you get your cup of tea and your scone or whatever it was that they were handing out.
And so what was it when you, because so that was the Salvation Army in Bridge North, because I know
Bridgenorth.
that in the past you've also talked about the Salvation Army in Canada, when you
Yeah.
landed in Canada that you got hot chocolate.
No. No, that was Bridgenorth.
Oh, it was Bridge North. All this time I thought it was Canada that you had the
No,
Salvation Army
not Canada.
experience.
Not Canada. It was
Oh,
at Bridgenorth, but I always had that. No, we'll get to my arrival in Canada later on.
okay. So you didn't have an interaction at all with the Salvation Army when you were entering Canada?
No,
Oh, wow, I really did
no,
get those completely confused. Okay.
no. Don't forget, I coming to Canada. I was out of the Air Force. This is 9 years later.
Yes, no, I did know that, but for some
But
reason
I
there was
traveled through
something about
Canada
the
before
Salvation
that.
Army.
I
I thought
traveled
there was
through Canada
something.
before that.
I thought there was something about the Salvation Army when you landed in Canada, or when
No,
Mum landed in Canada.
no,
Anyway, I got those confused. So
not
carry
that
on.
yeah, so
Carry on.
basic
So you've
training,
completed your 7 weeks of basic training. Aunt
yes.
Joni
Aunt Joni and
and
Uncle
Uncle
Bob
Ben
were
came
there.
down to watch your graduation. And
No,
then
not Uncle
after,
Ben, Uncle Bob.
sorry, and Uncle Bob.
Yeah,
Sorry.
because he
Yeah,
drove. He
yeah,
drove
Uncle
from
Bob.
Liverpool. You know, he had his car at the time, and they drove down from Liverpool.
Yes. And then after basic training, where did you go?
Basic training. I went back to Liverpool for a break in between basic training and technical training.
Okay, so you had a break in Liverpool and then you came
Yes,
back down to Bridgenorth
yes.
for your technical
Then
training. How long was your
another
technical training?
another railway warrant now, and I'm on my way to Melksham.
Oh, so your technical training was not at Bridgenorth?
No, my technical training was at Melksham in southern England.
Can you spell
It
that?
was Melksham.
Meksham. Okay.
Melksham.
Meeksham. Meeksham.
Yes.
Okay. Or in southern England. Okay. So then you did your technical training. How long was your technical training?
Was my first course was 6 months.
6 months.
Yes.
And so you took breaks during your technical training to go up to Liverpool or up to London?
No, I didn't go to Liverpool. I went to London.
Okay. So you would visit Mum
Yes.
on your breaks.
On
Okay.
weekends.
Pardon me?
On weekends.
On weekends. Every weekend or
Yes.
just every weekend?
Well, depends. Um, there were weekends when I couldn't go because we had different responsibilities. But any weekend that I had a chance, I'd go. But we could
Yes.
have guard duty or something like that. But most weekends I would take the train up, or we had fellows who lived in London
So
who
you'd
drove
catch a
up to
ride.
London. So I'd get a ride with one fellow. There's a Jamaican chap there that used to go up to London. I would go with him sometime if he was going.
Right, right.
If not,
Okay,
I'd
so
take the train.
most weekends you would go to visit Mum. I do know Mum has talked about having to rush for you to catch the train back.
Yes, yes. Yes, the subway and then catch the train. I remember once the train was leaving and I had to run and jump on it.
Run and catch it,
Run and
like
catch
in the
just
movies.
moving out, yes, because I used to have to take a subway there and from the subway to the train.
Yeah,
And if the subway got held up for any reason, then I could be late.
right,
So I
right.
took a bus to the subway and subway to the
Train.
train station.
How long was the entire trip from door to door?
Oh, about 3 hours.
3 hours? Okay,
Yeah.
not too bad.
And
Not too
a
bad.
bus would meet us at the train station, an Air Force bus.
Oh, that's good. So that last leg would
Yeah.
be comfortable.
The last leg would be, yes, Air Force. So that was 6 months, 6 months mechanic training. I'm new to England, so I'm getting accustomed to being in England. I'm made senior man for a group of guys because I was then 25. A lot of these fellows were in their early 20s or in their late teens. And a lot of them were there because of they were conscripted. They were
They
coming
were
in and they were
conscripted.
only, yes, they were serving their national service.
So these were English guys who were conscripted?
English, Irish, Scottish, well, British, we'd say
British. So at the
British, which
time,
included Irish, Welsh,
so
Scottish,
at
and
the
English.
time, Britain had a draft, a military draft?
Yes, yes, they did.
And did it apply to everyone?
Applied to everyone as long as you were healthy and so on. You would serve. Some people chose just to serve the 2 years. Others decided to make it sign on for a longer period, and you get better pay.
Did university students have to do it, or
Yes.
were they exempt?
As a matter of fact, we had university students who became lecturers because
I
they.
find it interesting that I I've never,
Oh
I'm not sure I've
yes,
ever heard
everybody had
of
to
that
serve unless
running in the 60s.
unless you could get a pass for ill health or something like that.
So every British, I'm assuming it was only men at the time.
Men, yes,
So every British young man had to
yeah,
serve 2 years in the
2 years,
military at the
two
time.
years, yes.
Wow, I did not know
But
that. I
then
mean, I'm not
a
surprised
lot
that
of
you
them
read that
were
at some point, but
a
I
lot of
didn't
them
know.
were volunteers, and some of them became volunteers after they signed up because as a conscript you didn't get the same pay as a volunteer. You didn't get the same quality uniform. They just so a lot of the
So
guys
what
just
was the
sign on.
difference between being a conscript and a volunteer? If you volunteered, did that mean that you had to serve for longer?
You had the minimum's 3 years,
Okay, so if you decided
and
to
you
upgrade
would be
to three,
trained. You'd be trained in a skill.
okay, so if you decided to upgrade to 3 years of service,
Yes,
then you got a lot of better stuff than if
you
you
got
said, I'm only
a
doing the
nicer
minimum 3 years.
uniform. A nicer uniform. You got better pay
Oh,
and that
so
sort of
that
thing.
would encourage a lot of people to do the minimum 3 years.
A few people did, and they would get basic training like telephonist and clerical type of jobs. They wouldn't
Yeah,
get the
things that could
technical
help them.
training like I did. But then you had people coming in who were already trained in certain skills, and they could assimilate those skills and still do their technical training, do their conscription.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting. Do you know when they got rid of the draft in Britain? Do you know?
it happened within. As a matter of fact, it happened within 2 years of my being there.
Oh, okay. So you were at the very
It,
end of
it
it.
was scrapped.
You were at
Yes.
the very end of it. Okay, so that would make sense why it's kind of
Yeah.
surprising to me. Okay, so moving on then, you did 6 months of technical training at
Yes.
Meeksham,
Yes.
and during that time you were visiting mom in London most weekends. And then after
Yes.
that 6 months of technical training, what came next?
I was then posted to a station near to where my relatives were,
Close to Liverpool?
close to Liverpool, and that's how I ended up in North Wales. And that was oh, was what, maybe a 2 hour trip to Liverpool,
From
driving
where you were.
from, yes,
So
something
this
like that.
place, what's the name of this place?
Where I went to was Anglesey, was a small island off the coast of North Wales. So it
So
was
the
an
station
island.
was called, the
It
station
was
was called
RAF Valley,
RAF Valley.
Royal Air Force Valley.
RAF Valley?
Yes, Royal Air Force Valley.
Yeah, Royal Air Force Valley.
Valley.
Yeah, Royal Air Force Valley.
Yes,
So you were posted, so let me just say this. So you were posted after the 6 months
yes,
immediately to North Wales?
to North Wales, to RAF Valley in North Wales,
Yeah, to the Royal Air Force Valley in North Wales, which was about 2 hours away from Liverpool.
on the island of Anglesey,
On the island of, you'd have to spell that for me.
Anglesey.
Okay, yeah. Anglesey. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Um,
Interesting place. It was a place where they hardly ever got snow because it was on that side of England that came under the influence of the Gulf Stream,
oh, okay.
so that the Gulf Stream would warm. So hardly, I don't remember. You get rain there, and you might get a little sleet once in a while, but it would be a really bad year when you had snow. When there was
Gotcha.
snow in Liverpool, but there was no snow in Anglesey.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's good. And how long were you posted? So this is your first posting. And
My
how
very
long were
first
you
posting.
posted? Pardon me?
My very first posting as a trained Air Force electrical mechanic
Yeah, it was your first posting after your technical training.
after my first technical training.
Yeah, so after your training, this is your first post. I mean, up until then,
Yes,
you were just training. You did basic
was
training
training. It
before
was
you did
considered
technical
part of
training.
training as well, but it was getting experience. It was to get more technical experience, and then I'd go back again for a second course.
Okay, so this was not considered a posting yet.
It was considered a posting if I was not going to be staying on. I would leave the Air Force as a mechanic
Okay.
after 5 years.
So
I
how
made
long were
it.
you posted at the RAF Valley?
I was posted there, and it was my decision to prepare myself. And within a year, I had to make rank. I started off as a leading aircraftsman,
Legion
LAC,
aircraftsman?
leading.
Leading aircraftsman.
Yeah,
Okay.
you start as an aircraftsman. So while I'm on training, I'm an aircraftsman. 6 months after I'm in Air Force, I become a leading aircraftsman.
Okay, you're cutting off your mouth again.
Oh yes, sorry. And after a year, I become a senior aircraftsman. By then, I'm on this unit. A year in the Air Force, I become a
Okay.
senior aircraftsman.
Okay, so after a year at RAF Valley, you start as a leading aircraftsman, you move to senior aircraftsman, and you then that's the point at which you decide to do more training?
I have to be there a year before I can apply for my advanced course.
Okay.
But I also have to have signed on for 9 years to get the advanced course.
Did you do 9 years in the Royal Air Force?
I did.
Oh, I don't know why I didn't realize it was that long.
Yes, I did 9 years
Okay. So you signed up for 9 years to be eligible for the
to be
advanced training.
eligible for that. And I went back to Melksham after that year was up. That course was a year.
Okay, so you do a year at RAF Valley.
Yes, and I'm working on aircraft then, but
Yes,
I'm being trained. I'm working for trained technicians,
yes.
and my training so far is limited to certain certain duties on an aircraft,
Okay. I
like
think,
changing batteries and being uh, an assistant to senior people.
okay. I think I'm ready to wrap this session up.
Okay, I thought we were going to 8 o'clock, you said.
No, I just put that in for extra time,
Oh, okay, okay.
just in case. But
Okay, so it's a good,
I'm finding that about an hour is enough.
it's just, yes, that's fine. We're almost at an hour.
Yeah.
That's okay with me.
Okay, good. So what I'd like to do in the next session is Not the next session, but the session after the next session, we will continue with your Army training.
Yes.
Not your Army, your Air Force training.
Right.
But next week, I want to do a different kind of a session
Okay.
where I'm just going to ask you some random questions like, what's your favorite book, or what's your favorite movie, or,
Yes.
what was your favorite vacation? Like just some of that kind of, those
Yes.
kinds of questions
Yes.
next week.
Yes.
And
That's
then
fine.
the following week, we'll come back to the Air Force.
Yes. I then go to my advanced training then.
Yes. Yes. But next week, we'll just ask some different kinds of,
Yes.
just questions, get to know George Lawrence type questions.
Okay. Okay. Now tell me, once you have all this on tape, now
Yeah.
you have to go through and put it in the form of a book.
I'm not creating a book from this. My intention is to create a video. And I'm going to collect the transcripts together that could be used to create a book.
Okay. Okay.
So we will have the transcripts that could be used to create a book, but that's not part of my particular project.
Okay. So you'd have to pick and choose and whatever. I'll be willing and able. I'd like to see it in a format where it pays tribute to my mother and father and to all the people that along the way. Tribute to your mother. Tribute to all the people along Uncle Gersh.
So you want to do special sessions with tributes to people?
I'd like them inserted at different times in my life, including all the way up to now.
Including when?
All the way up to now.
Oh, all the way up to now. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording. Stop the recording. Stop. Stop.